Here is a distinct melancholic paradox that haunts the architecture of the human mind. We are the only creatures capable of troubling tree, tuminar tosses, frarake, comicities fur. We spend hours, days, sometimes entire lifetimes, replayage of yesterday, frantically searching for the moment where the squipwin wells, the fripwin wonged, of we analyze the visin with them, of the nansinishness dort. We are hounded by the ghost of the unchosen path, the word unspoken, and the action taken in haste. We carry the heavy, imitable weight of what has been, allowing it to obscure the vibrant possibility of what is. Now, let us explore the profound wisdom of not in adding more, but in letting go. The modern mind operates largely as a museum of fast artifacts. We walk through the corridors of our and history, passing not to admire the view, but to curate an exhibition of ours. It is a strange compulsion, this tendency to polish our regrets until they shine brighter than our current redid. We look back at the timeline of our lives and see the mystics not as lessons, but as stains, and blemishes on the canvas of our identity. The time will lie, but baths is already dry. The pain has set, and the more we scrub at the memory, the more we tear the fabric of the present moment. Consider the sensation of a sleepless night. The body is still, the room is quiet, yet the mind is running a marathon through a landscape that no lantern access. We find ourselves locked in a heated debate with a person we haven't seen in a decade, or cringing at a foolish decision made in the naivety of youth. In these moments, we are victims of a cognitive illusion, the belief that the past is a place we can return to things. We treat time as if it were a spatial dimension, a room we have just walked off, believing that if we could just find the door, we could go back and rearrange the furnitures. But the door is painted on the wall. The room is gone. This psychological fixation creates a state of chronic correction. We are at war with reality. The reality is that the event happened. The internal narrative is that it should not have happened. This gap between what is and what should have been is the breeding ground for anxiety and depression. When we resist the irreversibility of the past, we engage in a battle that can never be won, for we are fighting against the fundamental nature of time itself. It is lie standing on the banks of a mighty river and demanding that the water flow upstream because we dropped something valuable on my back. The river does not care. It flows relentlessly forward, and our screaming at the current only exhausts the lungs and blinds the eyes to the beauty of the passing shore. The tragedy of this ordinary world of struggle is that it renders us absent from our own lives. By obsessing over the unchangeable, we become ghosts in the present. We are physically here, sitting in this chair, breathing this air, but our consciousness is held captive in a prison of memory. We are looking at the world through a review mirror, trying to drive the car of our life forward. Life storic whilst Tyrek lay at the road behind. Is it any wonder we crash? Is it any wonder we feel anxious, disoriented, and disconnected? We are trying to navigate the terrain of today using a map drawn yesterday, a map that no longer corresponds to the Trider beneath Irby Tower. Furthermore, we must examine the weight of the word mistake. In our standard cultural conditioning, a mistake is a failure of tracker. It is a deviation from the idle path, a glitch in the system that requires punishment or penance. We are told that a successful life is a straight line, an arrow shot cleanly from birth to death without wearing. Therefore, when we falter, when we hurt someone, or when we squander an opportunity, we internalize this as a defect in our soul. We carry these defects like heavy stones in a backpack. With every year that passes, we add another stone of a regret, and ever if only until the burden piles so heavy that we trudge through our days, stoop under the weight of a history that we refuse to set down. This accumulation of guilt serves a deceptive function. The ego, in its cunning way, clings to guilt because it has a false sense of control. To feel guilty is to believe that we could have done differently. It is a way of saying, I am powerful enough to have altered destiny. I just failed to exercise the power correctly. It is a dark form of vanity. To accept that the fast cannot have its wise bequeathed was not, a wizard or grizz a worger, a feels refinements to the anxious mind. It requires admitting that we acted according to our level of consciousness at the time, and that to person we were then kind of off admitting our, but we not offer ourselves this grace. Instead, we prosket our former selves with the wisdom of our current selves. This is the ultimate unfair trial. We judge the child we were by the standards of the adult we have become. We judge the confused, hurting person we were last year by the clarity we persist today. This retroactive chopsment creates a split in the psyche. We become divided agents ourselves, acting simultaneously as the criminal and the judge, the sinner is unified. This internal conflict consumes vastum psyche energy that is desperately needed for the act of living, creating, and living in the here. The struggle, therefore, is not actually about what happened. Events are neutral, they simply occur. The struggle is our relationship to the narrative of what happened. We tell ourselves stories of loss, of brokenness, of irredeemable. We convince ourselves that because we cannot go back, we cannot move forward. We believe that the foundation of our house is cracked, and therefore, nothing stable can ever be built up in it again. We stand in the ruins of the past, weeping over broken stones, ignoring the vast, open field the present lies waiting for. This is the paralysis of the ordinary world. It is a world of stagnation disguised as motion. The mind spins its wheels, generating smoke and heat, but the vehicle does not move. We are caught in a loop of what if and if only, a mental purgatory where we are forced to watch the highlight reel of Phyllis on repeat. It is a lonely place, for while the world around us continues to bloom, the same timers to mosaic of light, of the eternal cycle of nature, we remain frozen in a winter of our own ambition, sitting dem centum fast praise wait of wait. In session 2 here we arrive at the threshold of a startling realization, the moment where the mentor be it life itself or quite voice we mentions the reformation of her. We must dare to ask a question that feels almost forbidden to the regretful mind. What if the mystic was not an acid? What if the error was not a deviation from the path, but the path itself revealing its contours? We are culturally hypnotized by the idol of the clean slate. We imagine that perfect human life is a pristine sheet of white paper, and that every error is as much of ink that prepicts. But this is a mechanical view of existence, suited for machines on an assembly line, not for organic beings growing in a wild, unpredictable world. In nature, there are no straight lines. The tree grows strong precisely because it is buffeted by the wind. Its roots go deep only because it must search for water in the dark. If we apply this organic logic to the human soul, we begin to see that our mystics are not failures of operation, but essential data points in a complex algorithm of weakening. Consider for a moment the nature of wisdom. How does one actually acquire it? It is not a commodity to be purchased, nor is it a gift bestowed upon the innocent. Innocence is beautiful, yes, but it is fragile. Innocence is the child who has never touched the flame. Wisdom, however, is the scarred hand that knows the heat and respects the fire. We often conflate two, wishing we could return to a state of innocence where we had done no wrong. But innocence is merely the absence of experience. Wisdom is the integration of experience, and experience, by its very definition, requires the encounter with the opposite of why we desire. To know the true value of truth, one often has to taste the bitterness of a lie. To understand the profound sanctity of kindness, one often has to recoil from the shock of awe and cruelty. When we look back and shudder at our past actions, we are witnessing the birth of our current conscience. The very fact that you can look at a past behavior and identify as wrong or foolish is the proof of your quote, Tad Kring. The pang of regret. It is not a symptom of illness, it is the growing pain of the soul. It signifies that your awareness has expanded beyond the limitations of your former self. You are judging the caterpillar from the perspective of the butterfly. To con the caterpillar for crawling in the dirt is to misunderstand the process of metamorphosis. The crawling was necessary. The dirt was necessary. Without the low, grounding friction of that existence, the wings would never have formed. Let us deconstruct the illusion of the alternative life. This is the fantasy playing in the theater of the mind where we made the right choice. In this fantasy, we took the our job, we saved the relationship, we didn't say the hurtful word. And in this hallucination, everything is perfect. The sun is always shining and we are happy, but this is a lie. It is a mirage. If we had taken the our path, we would simply have traded one set of problems for another. We would have encountered different obstacles, different hairbricks, and different mystics. Here is no path through life that is free of friction, for friction is the mechanism of movement. By fixating on this idealized feminine life, we rob the actual life, the one where, living of its dignity and its partial. We must also confront the intricate, inseparable web of causality. Our lives are not a collection of isolated events like beads on a string. They are a flight current, where every drop of water pushes the next. If you were to go back and surgically remove that one terrible mistake, you would not chastise the pain you walked and reveal the interval to which of you are today. You would lose the humility that the failure taught you. You would lose the compassion you now feel for as this hoe stumble. You would lose the resilience you built while picking up the pieces. This is the great cosmic irony, the very qualities we feel most in ourselves, sir, empathy, our death, our capacity to forgewear, our capacity to forsmak in mode of the great kulverdimensizimek in thinking chumudaverstan. We went to flower, but we despise the compass. Yet, any gardener knows that the sweetest fruit grows from the richest toil. The decay of the past feeds the vitality of the present. To reject your mystics is to sever your own rest. Let us go deeper imper into trial. A. The trial is the confrontation with the shadow. In psychology, the shadow represents the parts of our soul we don't wish to acknowledge, our greed, our anger, our foolishness. When we make a mistake, the shadow leaps out of the subconscious and stands before us undeniable. The ego, desperate to maintain its image of perfection, shrieks in horror. That is not me. It cries, I am a good person. It dawns on things like that. This is the source of our suffering, the denote around fallibility. But the mentor voice of clarity whispers a different truth that is you, and that is okay. The moment we accept our capacity for error, the war ends. We stop defending a fortress that has already been breached. We realize that being human is not about being infallible, it is about being correctable. A ship crossing the ocean is off course 90% of the time. The journey is nothing but a series of relentless corrections. If the captain were to stop the ship in the middle of the sea to whip every time the compass drifted a degree to the left, the vessel would never reach the shore. The drift is not the failure, the refusal to correct is the tragedy. We are terrified that our mystics define us. We wear them like heavy coats, believing they obscure our true nature. But let us look at the ancient Japanese art of kintsugi. When a priest's ceramic pole is broken, the master does away, nor does he try to glue it back to gibber so the cracks are visible. Instead, he fills the cracks with gold lacquer. The breakage is not hidden, it is highlighted. The bow becomes more baleful, more valuable, and stronger because it has been broken and repaired. The history of the object is celebrated, not erased. Your life is that bowl. The mistakes you have made are the fissures. The record you feel is the initial shock of the brick, but the goal is the awareness you bring to it now. It is the decision to learn, to make amends, to change your behavior. When you apply the goal of consistent living to the cracks of your past, you create a character of profound faith, a human being who has never suffered, never failed, and never felt even two-dimensional, lacking the gravity to hold space for ours. It is the one who has fallen and risen who carries the true medicine for the word. Furthermore, we must recognize that the universe is largely a process, trial and error. Evolution itself is a staggering history of mutations, failures, and dead ends, all leading to the complexity of the present moment. If the cosmos does not get it right the first time, why do we demand such rigid perfection from us? We are the universe expressing itself in human form. We are subject to the same laws of experimentation. To demand a life without error is to demand a life without power mechanism for improvement. The suffering we feel, the burning shame of the past, is actually energy. It is potential waiting to be transmitted. In the ordinary world, we use that energy to burn ourselves. We direct heat inward, scorching around our earth. But in this phase of inside, we learn to direct the heat outward. We use the fire breath to force a new determination. Because I felt the pain, we say, I will endure, I don't cause it again. Because I wasted time then, I will cherish it now. The mistake becomes the fuel for a fires, for burning engagement with the present. We also discover that our obsession with the past is a form of our reigns. It assumes that we know what the ultimate outcome of a bad event will be, but we are characters in the middle of a book, judging the plot before the final chapter is written. Here is an ancient tale story of Heifermer whose horse ran away. Such bad luck, the neighbors said. Maybe, replied the farmer. The next day the horse returned, with 3 wild horses. Shocked with luck, they said. Maybe, Hare replied. The farmer's son tried to ride a wild horse, fell, and broke its leg. Bad luck? Maybe. The army came to draft young men for war but passed by the sun because of his broken leg. Good luck. Maybe. We's honor to the end of the story. The event you are mourning today is a catastrophe, may be the very pivot point that saves your life 10 years from now. The relationship that failed may be the necessary vacuum that always the right partner to enter. The job you lost may be the push you needed to find your vocation. When we label the past as wrong, we are claiming a godlike omniscience we do not possess. We are freezing a flight process. So, the insight is this past is not a prison, it is a library. It is a place of reference, not write-ins. We go there to check a fact, to learn a lesson, to understand a pattern, and then we leave. We close the book and walk back into the sun. We stop waiting for a different history and start using the one we have. We realize that we can never be clean in the sense of never having touched the dirt, But we can be clean in the sense of washing our hands and preparing to cook the next meal. The washing is the living better today. The meal is the life we serve to ourselves and others right now. The struggle shifts here. It is no longer about fighting the past, about integrating it. It is about taking the jagged shards of our history and asking, how do these pieces fit into the mosaic I am building today? It is a move from resistance to acceptance, from self-cruelty to self-restraint. We stop being the victim of our biography and become the author of our next page. The ink of the past is dry in your eyes, but the pen is still in your hand, and the paper of this moment is fresh, white, and waiting. We arrive finally at the only place where life actually exists, the immediate, vibrant amity. The journey through the canyons of regret and the analysis of our urza has led us to a single, liberating truth: the past does not exist in the physical world. It exists only as a trace of memory firing in the neural pathways of the brain in the present moment. When we realize that the heavy chains of what I should have done begin to dissolve, not because we have found the key, but because we realize there was never a list. The redemption we seek is not a time machine, it is a shift in attention. We have been trying time to solve a problem that is behind us, twisting our necks to fix a shadow, why the sun is rising in front of us. The victory in our journey is not the erasure of the mystic, but the transformation of its energy. We stop using our mental resources to litigate a closed case and instead invest the calculative cost of you to rise in. This is the profound alchemy of living better. We honor the past not by mourning it, but by outgrowing it. How do we practically apply this? How do we live better today than yesterday? It begins with a radical act of acceptance. When the memory of the past era or assassinate will, for the mind is a creature of habit, we do not fight it. We do not push it away with shame, nor though we invite it in for tea and a 3-hour conversation. We simply acknowledge it. We look at the memory and say, you see you, I remember, and because of you, I choose kindness right now. This pivot is the mechanism of correction. You cannot go back and unsay the cruel word you spoke 5 years ago. That sound wave has dissipated into the universe. But you can speak a gentle word to the person standing in front of you right now. In that moment of choosing gentleness, you are effectively refighting the karma of the past. You are proving to the universe and to yourself that the lesson has been learned. If the arrow of yesterday leads to the virtue of today, then the arrow has served its purpose. It has been transmuted from a liability in a set. The lid has become gold. We must also understand that living better does not mean living perfectly. It does not mean we will never stumble. It means we shorten the lag time between the stumble and the correction. In the past, we might have fallen and stayed on the ground for months, wallowing in self-pity. Today, when we fall, we notice it. We say, ah, gravity, and we stand up. We brush off the dust, web ledges if we need to, make amends if we can, and we keep walking. This resilience is the hallmark of a healthy relationship with time. Here is a beautiful metaphor in the wake of a ship, the white, churning waiter trailing behind. The vessel tells us where the ship has been. It is the history of the voyage. But the wick not drive the ship. The wick has no power to steer the vessel, nor can it determine where the ship will go next. The ship is steered by the captain in the present moment, utilizing the energy of the engine right. To believe that your past mistakes dictate your future is to believe that the wake raised the ship. It is an illusion. You are the captain. The wheel is in your hands. The ocean of possibility is vast, and the wick is simply fading from behind you. As we integrate this understanding, a profound peace settles into the chest. The anxiety of what is replaced by the curiosity of what is. We begin to treat each day as a miniature lifetime, a self-contained iris of opportunity. We wake up and ask, how can I inhabit this day fully? How can I bring the best of my awareness to with a cup of coffee, this conversation? We stop trying to be the person we should have been and start being the person we are capable of being. This is the ultimate freedom. It is the freedom to begin again, endlessly. Every reread is a reset button. Every sunrise is a pardon. Life, in its infinite mercy, does not hold a grudge. The trees do not withhold their shade because you made a mistake last Tuesday. The air does not refuse to fill your lungs because you failed a test 10 years ago. The universe continues to offer itself to you, whole and complete, in every single second. The only question is, will you take it? Will you step out of the shadowy museum of the past and walk into the light of this living day? We find that when we finally let go of the desire to change history, we gain the power to change destiny. We realize that the better life was never waiting for us in a ruined past. It was waiting for us here, in the humble, ordinary, and magnificent process of being an elf. We have returned from our journey not with a time machine, but with a new set of ease. And with these eyes, we see that why we cannot repair the cracks of yesterday, we can fill the room with light today. And so we come to rest in the quiet certainty of the present. The burden of the past is heavy only when we carry it set down. It becomes the ground beneath our feet. We are not the sum of our errors, but the potential of our prisons. Breathe out the ghost of who you were. Breathe in the grace of who you are.